Hello, guys. Welcome to Reinvented. I'm your host Kayla. We talk all things mental health here. Today we're gonna be looking at mental disorders, kind of the stigma behind them, risk factors, and just general mental health stuff. Because I think it's kind of important to talk about. And I know in like past episodes I've gone over them, but I'm gonna really try to deep dive today, even though I have a migraine. So let's see if I can do it. Let's see if I can do this today. Um. So yeah. We're going to look up about general mental health first. This is coming from the CDC official website. So some key points. Mental health is a key component to overall health and is closely linked to physical health, which, for the longest time growing up, I did not realize that the way I felt mentally was making me sick physically and was making me more susceptible. Why can't I talk? Susceptible to being like sick and getting colds and all that. I didn't really realize that, and I didn't really ever put the two and two together. I remember like at least my first 2 years of high school. This is as far back as I can remember, but I remember seriously like every 2 weeks at the beginning of the school year, I was like had a cold, and it happened like multiple times. Um, where I would get that I don't get when I get colds. I don't like get really sick. I'm more of like it's like the first day you can tell, the second day is the worst, the third day I'm pretty much back to normal. But yeah, I never really put that into perspective. But then when I started to kind of realize that, I made a mindset shift. Um, and that I didn't do that until I was pretty much an adult. I say pretty much an adult. I was an adult. But I didn't really start doing that until I was like 20 or 21. And I just, I remember finally making that mindset change of like, okay, I'm trying to look at life a little bit differently than and then I also started going to therapy at that time. So yeah, um, factors at the individual, family, community, and society levels can influence mental health, which actually is very true. Especially if you grew up with like people around you who had depression, anxiety, they all run in the family, whether they're talked about or not. Um, so, yeah. Okay. CDC promotes a public health approach to prevent mental health conditions before they develop or worsen. Um, I feel like, especially, this is not coming from the CDC level, but it is also like seeing nowadays. It's pretty sad that you have to get to the point, like it has to get to the point where either you hurt yourself or you hurt someone else. Where it's like, or you get so close to being, like, oh, I want to hurt myself. And it's like, that's when people finally step in and realize, like, okay, this is a problem. Instead of like, not even fixing it, but getting to the root of the problem before that happens. Um, if you live with a mental health condition or are experiencing mental distress, help is available, which it is. But sometimes you also have to know kind of where to find it, because not everyone grows up with this, like, where we're openly talking about your mental health, and any of that. Oh, geez, I'm like overcoming an ear infection. I'm still choking. It's been a long week, guys. Um, Mental health and physical health are equally important components of overall health. Um, so yeah, mental health is closely linked to physical health, which it says multiple times. For example, depression increases the risk of many types of physical, long-lasting chronic conditions like diabetes, heart disease, or stroke. Similarly, the presence of chronic conditions can increase the risk of developing a mental health condition. And especially like they don't really talk about like what goes into this because it's like I know for like I remember for me, I don't really tell people this as often, but I don't remember how old I was. But I just remember I'm not someone who like eats a whole lot of food at once. Um because for one, like people know me, like I don't keep food my body doesn't keep food down as well as it probably should. Um and depending on the type of food, some things flare up my stomach, some things don't. But it had I think I had to have been like 15 or 16 at this point. But I just remember I would eat and eat kind of anything. Like I mean, I was just I don't know. It wasn't binge eating. I don't really know what to describe it as, but I remember I was just and it was putting so much stress on like for one my physical health, but like I kind of at that time was just like in a mindset of like, I don't really care anymore. And I had I don't know, I had this like thought in my head was like that kind of randomly popped in my head of like talking to a doctor of like, well, did you want to die? And I'm like it was kind of a weird thing. I'm not gonna lie, like I'm like what is this? Like what looking back now, um being almost 24, I'm like, okay. Like I've never had that happen and I remember from then it was like a mindset shift of like, changing how and when I ate, instead of just not caring at all. Addressing mental and physical health needs can improve overall health, um, both of which is very true. Mental health is not simply the absence of a mental health condition, but also the presence of well being and ability to thrive. Many factors influence our ability to thrive and experience optimal well being, such as family and community relationships, access to opportunities, and environmental circumstances. Um, yeah, you can experience positive well being even if you are living with a mental health condition. Having access to effective treatments that help manage symptoms, along with the presence of safe, stable, and nurturing relationships and environments, can help. Which again, I will say, in my perspective, it wasn't until I was well, I had to have been 2021 when I finally started going to therapy. Um, yeah, I think it was no, it was 20. I was 20 when I started going to therapy. Um, but I remember just I think it really helped me just kind of like it was like realize like the life that was around me. Um, and I will say like growing up, it didn't always feel like I had people around me who knew what it felt like. Like I was told, oh well, this is just normal. Get over it. This is normal. You're not the only one that feels like this. And now looking back, yes, I am not the only person who feels like this. But like I, I really nowadays like strive to kind of keep things open and just how I do things in my basic life now. People who don't have a mental health condition may still face challenges in their mental health, which is very normal. Taking care of our mental health is important at every stage, early and middle childhood, birth to 11 years old. Mental health in childhood includes reaching developmental and emotional milestones and learning healthy social skills and how to cope when there are problems. Children who experience good mental health have a positive quality of life and can function well at home, in school, socially, and in their communities. Adolescence. Adolescence is a unique and formative time when many health behaviors and habits are established and carry over into adult years. Adolescence is a time of important development changes, physical, emotional, and social changes, including exposure to poverty, rather can make adolescents vulnerable to mental health problems. Um, early childhood, or no, wait, early adulthood. Sorry, I can read. 18 to 26 years old, early adulthood can come with major transitions such as entering college and the workforce, securing housing, or starting a family. Positive mental health well-being in young adult can help young people meet these transitional stages successfully. Because being an adult is hard. Middle adulthood, 27 to 64 years old. In middle adulthood, adults may face life stressors related to jobs, parenting, caregiving, and relationships. Older adulthood, as people age, they may experience life changes that impact their mental health, such as retirement, coping with serious illness, or losing a loved one. Some may experience feeling of grief, social isolation, or loneliness. And to me, it's also like how you kind of react to a situation, right? Like if you want to react negatively, of course the outcome is going to be negative. But if you're going to react to something with positive, open mind and switching and all that, then yeah, like regardless of sometimes it's like think about it even at work. It's like sometimes you don't like the change, but like it's what maybe your boss wants or who's ever in charge, like CEO or anything like that, what they want. So it's like go along with it even if you don't, sometimes even if you don't agree with it. And sometimes they'll figure it out. Not all the time. And to be honest, it's more of like thing of like they'll figure it out once they lose the value and the valuable pieces. All right, risk factors for mental health illnesses. For mental illnesses, I can totally not read today. Mental illnesses is influenced by complex interplay of factors, including biological factors, genetics, brain chemistry imbalances. Oh my god, physical health conditions, psychological factors, traumatic experiences, stressful life events, poor coping mechanisms, low self-esteem. I will say with that, it's like sometimes these are not things people are taught, and not everyone grew up in a open, like talking about mental health. Other factors: substance use, early childhood adversity, lack of access to healthcare and support services, age, specific risk factors for different mental illnesses, depression, chronic stress, family history, low social support, poor physical health, anxiety, childhood trauma, genetics, perfectionism, social anxiety, which I know way too much about, psychosis, genetics, drug use, early childhood experiences, obsessive compulsive disorder, genetics, early childhood experiences, perfectionism, eating disorders, body image issues, social pressures, family history. It is important to note that having risk factors does not guarantee that a person will develop a mental illness. However, understanding these risk factors can help individuals identify potential vulnerabilities and take steps to promote their mental well-being. And I think like that's also really important to talk about, like when you talk about the stigma behind mental health, because sometimes it's like, as yes, you have to be open. It's like you have to be open to someone that you feel comfortable being open to. And it comes back to how are they reacting? Are they reacting negatively, or are they, someone you can really trust? And sometimes in like situations like that, you find out who your true friends are, right? You find out who your true people are. And sometimes it's like some people are not who you thought they were. Um, so the stigma behind mental disorders refers to negative stereotypes, attitudes, and discrimination toward people with mental health conditions, which can prevent them from seeking help, lower self-esteem, and worsen outcomes. This public stigma often fueled by media portrayals and misinformation, leading to self-stigma where individuals internalize these negative beliefs and structure stigma in policies that limit opportunities for those affected. Combating stigma involves educating oneself, using person first language, speaking out against misinformation, and joining support groups. Types of stigma: public stigma, negative and um, negative attitudes held by society towards mental illness and those who experience it. Because not everyone's experience is the same. And that's one thing that I think is really important because I think, everyone's like, oh, well, I went through this when I was a child, or when I was growing up, when I was your age, I went through this. And it's like, okay, but that's not what I'm going through. Or like, sometimes it's like, not everyone's going to have that same experience. And some people just don't see that. Self stigma: when individuals with mental health conditions internalize negative beliefs leading to shame and self blame, which again happens. And I also think that goes back to like the public stigma too, because again, it's the people around you too. Sometimes it's like you just need someone to get you out of that space, get you out of your head. Social stigma: negative treatment and behaviors from friends, family, and colleagues, which can lead to isolation, which again I think goes back to like the public of like, they see it this, someone can see it this way. Um, they see it one way, and sometimes that's not what it is. Impact of stigma: prevents treatment. Fear of discrimination or being labeled can stop people from seeking necessary care. Like, when people say, oh, you go to therapy, you must be crazy. Your mental health must be like, you must be crazy. Which is just not true. Because sometimes you just need someone to talk to. Worsens recovery: stigma can reduce hope, lower self-esteem, and increase symptoms. I'm starting really hot over here. Hinders relationships and work: individuals may face difficulties in their personal and professional lives, including job and relationship problems. Causes isolation. Family and friends may experience blame or rejection, further isolating the individual and themselves. Yeah. Media portrayals, of factors contributing: misinformation and ignorance, historical beliefs. How to combat: educate yourself, use person first language, speak up, say something. See something you don't agree with, say something. Challenge stereotypes, support treatment, join or start a support group. Yeah. And that is all I have for today's episode. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Um, and I will see you guys next week with a brand new episode. Do not forget, we are on YouTube, podcast player, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Podcast. So check us out.